Chicago, Illinois, July 13th, 1966. A quiet summer night on the south side at 2319 East 100th Street. 8 student nurses settled into what should have been an ordinary evening. They had just come off long hospital shifts. They were tired, relieved, ready to rest. Inside the townhouse, the mood was light. Some sat together, talking, laughing softly, sharing stories from the hospital. Others changed into their night clothes. One removed her cap. Another slipped off her shoes. Simple moments. Nothing unusual. Nothing alarming. It felt normal. It felt safe. There was no sign that anything was about to go wrong. But just before midnight, something shifted. Not loud, not sudden, just enough to change everything. Outside the house, a man had already arrived. His name was Richard Speck, 24 years old, a drifter, a history of violence, theft, instability. He had arrived in Chicago only days earlier. No steady work, no clear direction. That night, he approached the house. He knocked. And when the door opened, he forced his way inside. At first, it seemed like a robbery. A man demanding money. Something quick. Something survivable. But Speck didn't leave. Instead, he stayed. And within minutes, the atmosphere inside the house changed. He gathered the nurses into one room. He spoke calmly, controlled. No shouting, no chaos. Just pressure and fear beginning to take hold. The nurses complied. They listened. They hoped it would end. But it didn't. One by one, he began taking them out of the room. Each time the door opened, one was led away. Each time it closed, the silence grew heavier. Inside the room, those who remained could not see what was happening. Only hear fragments, footsteps, movement. Then, nothing. Time passed, slowly, deliberately. Speck was not in a hurry. He was in control. And that made everything worse. Inside that room, the realization set in. This was not just a robbery. This was something else. Something far more dangerous. Among them was Corazon Amurao, 23 years old, a student nurse from the Philippines, far from home, focused on her future, but now trapped in a moment she could not escape. As the pattern became clear, she made a decision, quiet, precise. She slipped away, unnoticed, and hid under a bed in the dark. From there, she could hear everything. Footsteps crossing the floor, slow, measured, doors opening, doors closing. The presence moving through the house. She stayed still, completely still, controlling her breathing, because even the smallest sound could give her away. Minutes passed, then more, until time itself began to lose meaning. At one point, the footsteps came close, very close, close enough to be heard clearly. Just above her, she did not move, not even then. She listened, waited, endured, and then silence. Not normal silence, not peaceful silence, but the kind that makes you question if it's really over. Still, she did not move, because silence can lie. She stayed where she was, listening, waiting, hoping that it was finally over. Eventually, there was nothing. No movement, no presence. Richard Speck was gone. But still, she waited. Minutes that felt like hours, until finally, she moved. Slowly, carefully, she stepped out. And what she would witness would shock the nation. By morning, police were called to the townhouse. Investigators arrived and quickly understood this was no ordinary crime. But there was one crucial difference. One voice remained. Corazon Amurao. She had seen enough, heard enough, remembered enough. She gave investigators a detailed description, specific features, specific details. Meanwhile, Speck had fled, but not far. Days later, he was found in a Chicago hospital. He had attempted to take his own life. He survived. And while being treated, someone noticed something. A tattoo on his arm. Born to raise hell. It matched the description given by the survivor. Police were notified. Speck was arrested. Corazon Amurao later identified him in a lineup. The case moved quickly to trial. In April 1967, Richard Speck was found guilty. He was sentenced to death. But in 1972, after changes in US law, that sentence was reduced. Life imprisonment. He remained in prison until his death in 1991. The case left a lasting impact. It changed how nurses were housed, how safety was considered, how institutions responded to risk. But beyond policy, beyond headlines, one truth remains. This story could have ended in silence, but it didn't, because one person made a decision. Corazon Amurao did not run. She did not fight. She survived by staying still, by staying silent, and by choosing the moment to remain unseen. Because sometimes survival is not about strength. It is about awareness. It is about timing. And it is about knowing when not to move. Tambayan ni Juan, True Crime.